The Enterprise is more than just a spaceship. Over the course of Star Trek's illustrious history, we've seen over a dozen starships carry the famous name, with many of these ships playing a role just as important as any of the characters that have served on them. But which of these famous starships is the true flagship of the franchise? Hey there Trekkies, my name is Michael, aka the TrekLad. Welcome back to the channel. I hope you're doing well. We're not tackling any complex themes or moral dilemmas today. No, we're going to be ranking some starships. Because for me, these ships form the heart of Star Trek. Without these ships, I might not be the Star Trek fan that I am today. And like any fan of any science fiction franchise, I can't help it. I just have to make a ranking video. This is completely subjective. This ranking is my own opinion, and well, my opinion changes quite frequently anyway, so it might be that in a year's time you see another one of these, and maybe the rankings changed. I also, being the disgusting person that I am, have put a number of surprises in this ranking list. I'm not counting the HMS Enterprise, that old clipper ship. I'm not counting anything that exists in our real world. I'm counting things from United Earth and Starfleet only. So if you're wondering why there's no naval battleships or shuttlecraft in this, well, that's why. I didn't want to include them. I have, however, included a couple of special surprises in this ranking video. There are some non-canon stuff. There's some stuff that you might not be expecting. Merry Christmas. But before I get into my ranking, please like this video and subscribe to the channel for weekly Star Trek and sci-fi videos and live streams. You can also support the channel by becoming a fan on Patreon. Warp on over to patreon.com/TrekLad and join today to unlock early access on new videos, access to my private Discord server, and other exclusive perks. Yum yum. Let the ranking commence! Number 15, the Enterprise J. I think this one's fairly unanimous. I think this is probably the worst Enterprise of the lot. Initially only seen as a schematic at the back of a corridor in a single scene in a season 3 episode of Enterprise, the main feature of this ship is just this really exaggerated, kind of flattened, smushed saucer section. It's really low res. It's got the thinnest nacelles I've ever seen. I don't know how this ship can travel through space and not have its nacelles ripped off by, I don't know, the lightest of solar winds. It just looks completely impractical. It looks like someone sat on it. I pray every day that Archer's heroics in season 3 has resulted in this future Enterprise never actually existing. Number 14, the Enterprise refit from Planet of the Titans. Now, we never saw this as the Enterprise, however, if you squint your eyes really hard during the space dock scene in the Search for Spock, you can actually see on the left-hand side the model that was originally going to be the Enterprise refit for the aborted 1976 movie Planet of the Titans. I think it still deserves its place in this list. It didn't become the Enterprise, however, I really like the design. It's a lovely deviation from the design that we had seen up until that point from the original series. Diversification of what was becoming a pretty tropey shape. I like the bulkiness of it. It looks huge. It looks like an aircraft carrier in space. It's got a really cool kind of delta wing secondary hull. It just looked really, really different, and I don't know, I just like different stuff. This creamy, bronzy monstrosity, as some people would probably call it, also went on to inform the development of what would become the Discovery. So I think that in itself probably also justifies its placement on this list. Number 13, the Enterprise XVC 330. Now this is a bit of a forgotten ship. This is a relic from a bygone era that has never been explored. This model was the original design concept for what would become the original series Enterprise. Apparently, they decided not to go forward with the model because it was impractical to film. I really like the design. It reminds me a lot of those wonderful models that we saw in Stanley Kubrick's 2001. It might be an impractical model, but it has a certain beauty to it, although I guess it's not a ship that would have that trademark Star Trek look, so perhaps it was a good thing that it never became. Now, we have seen this ship on screen on a number of occasions. It was a painting in the motion picture, and I believe it was on Archer's wall in most of Enterprise, so it counts. It's on this list. It's just very far away from the designs that we all would know and love. Number 12, the Enterprise A from the Kelvin universe. Now, this one is a bit hit and miss for me, and the reason it's a hit is because I do like the idea that the eventual design almost kind of seems to be a response to the original Enterprise's fate, in that when the swarm started attacking it, it cut through the nacelle pylons and also cut through the neck. Now, this Enterprise A, it's got a bulkier neck, it's got bulkier nacelle pylons. Those features are also kind of the reason why I don't like it, though. It is definitely a step closer to the original model from the original series, in that it has like a 45-degree slanted saucer. Very much like its predecessor, it just looks a little bit exaggerated. It looks a little bit kind of top-heavy. It looks really kind of awkwardly distributed with its weight. Beefed up, it's very much a JJ Star Trek creation, but I couldn't place it higher up my list. Number 11, the Enterprise B. I think they missed a huge opportunity to do something special with an Enterprise B, and it felt to me like this was just a bit of a cost-cutting measure. By generations, we'd already seen the Excelsior model used in a number of movies and loads of episodes of TNG. It was a completely overused model, and I kind of laugh at Rick Berman and the Generation crew's kind of attempts to cover this up by having a couple of tails added to the nacelles and kind of adding a bit of a bigger bum on the secondary hull by painting some teal track lines. That would completely hide the fact that it was the Excelsior. I love the Excelsior model, it's a beautiful model, but they could have done something else. They could have done something more special. This was the Enterprise B. Come on. Number 10, the future Enterprise D from All Good Things. I loved this ship when it made its dramatic debut in the TNG finale, but then again I was 4 and I was impressed by most things back then. This design just hasn't aged that well for me. It just feels like a ship that has had a number of just unnecessary augmentations. Phaser lance, the third nacelle. I think it would have been nicer and sweeter if the Enterprise that swooped in that scene would have been the same old Enterprise that we knew and loved, signifying that no matter how far down the road we are and how much time has gone by and how fragmented the crew is, the same old Enterprise would still be there. In that respect, as I've grown up, it's just become less of a special ship for me. Number 9, the Enterprise F from Star Trek Online. This is the Enterprise that I'm the least familiar with because, as some of you may know, I am a complete Star Trek Online noob. It's not strictly canon, my list. My rules! The reason this does make the list is because I think it's a wonderful reminder of just how great Star Trek can be with its community. And this ship was designed by a fan. This was part of a fan design contest. How cool is that? I could have designed an Enterprise if I had skill. I think it's a ship that divides people. I've seen it be called a number of different things online. It's been called a spoon, a seed pod. I think I've seen someone describe it as looking a bit like a sex toy. I like the continuation of the slender, the sleek, the kind of long profile from the Enterprise E. There are elements that I don't like, of course. I don't like its shorter nacelles. I also don't like the black hole markings. I just don't think they look very... I hate to say it, I don't think they look very Star Trek. Oh god, I went and said it. Just feels a bit out of place on a hero starship. Number 8, the Enterprise C. Much like its ultimate fate, I think it's a real tragedy that we only ever saw the Ambassador class Enterprise C once. I really like this ship. It just includes some wonderful nods and winks to the ships that had come before it. The design principles like the glowing deflector that we'd seen in the movies, the dorsal source sensor being lit up, I like that. And of course it included some obvious TNG stylings like the shorter, more luminous nacelles. I think it's a little short and a little stumpy. It's a little dumpling of an Enterprise, and I feel like an Enterprise needs to be a little bit more heroic and a little bit more drawn out, maybe. I also didn't like its hinged nacelle pylons. It just kind of felt a little bit out of place with the rest of the ship's kind of flowing curves. All in all, a lovely ship. It's a real shame that it got trashed at the hands of the Romulans. Number 7, NCC 1701, the ship that started it all. And I know what you're thinking. Why the hell, TrekLad, is this so low in the ranking? As iconic as the original Enterprise is, and as important as it is, and as influential the design is, it's just not my favourite. The models that have come and gone since kind of reflect more realistic designs that could, well, realistically be built by humans. I'm also stylistically not particularly attracted to the thinner neck and the nacelles. They just seem like strategic areas that enemy ships would target. They just seem a bit isolated from the rest of the ship. Nacelle pylons particularly kind of just seem a little bit too jutted out and separated from everything else. I'm probably not making sense here, but that's just my opinion when I see it. There are aspects that I do like, of course. This isn't one giant trash party. I do like the impulse drive at the end of the saucer, like the classic spinning Bassard collectors. They're lovely. The classic navigational dish, which is something that I kind of would have liked to have seen on future designs in the Star Trek universe, because it was cool. It's a classic and a vital ship to the Star Trek franchise, but it's just not my Enterprise. Number 6, the NCC-1701 from Discovery. I promise I'm not intentionally trying to wind people up and rub salt in any wounds. I promise. Please believe me. The Enterprise that we see in Discovery takes all of the classic elements from the original series and just builds upon them. It takes the original Matt Jeffries model and gives it a lovely upgrade, incorporating elements of other ships that we'd seen in the franchise, most notably the NX. Obviously, this got me on board pretty quickly. I think it's a respectful design. I think it's been designed to keep as many fans as possible happy. It retains the legacy design, adds new elements that bring that technology level up to a more believable standard, and also includes some new concepts, more specifically the kind of hot rod design that we'd seen in the Kelvin universe. Very much a modern Enterprise. And let's talk about those nacelles, eh? Thick nacelles. Number 5, the NCC-1701 from the Kelvin universe. This wasn't love at first sight. I recall not being particularly impressed at the sight of Ryan Church's take on my beloved Enterprise. It just looked a bit bulbous. It looked a little unbalanced. In time, and helped massively by what I saw in the 2009 movie, I was turned around. I think this is a really cool looking Enterprise. It's a sleek design that, again, winks to the original TOS model, and also includes the Aztecing that we'd seen in the movies and in TNG. It just feels like a wonderful mashup of a number of different styles that we'd seen up until that point. It was a new look for a new era, and yeah, while I wasn't initially enamored with it, I got on board with it. I just wish that they hadn't have blown it up every 5 minutes though. Number 4, the Enterprise NX-01. I love this ship. I think it's the perfect prequel ship. It just feels very tangible. It's a smaller, more intimate ship. Felt to me like it was a ship that was made on a planet that probably still had scarce resources. The NX also feels like a ship that is very much steeped in history and remembers where it came from, certain aspects of the ship, particularly the part of the hull that connects to the nacelles, inspired by World War II fighter planes. A lot of people have also said that it's very similar to the Akira class, which I can definitely see. It's unique, and it winks heavily towards the ship designs that would later come. I mean, the only thing that it lacks is obviously that secondary hull, but if we'd gotten a 5th season, we would have had that secondary hull. Oh, I wish we'd gotten a season 5. Number 3, the Enterprise D. A ship that was designed to be far less militaristic, reflecting a brighter, more peaceful future. Well, Andrew Probert, you nailed it. You really did. Size-wise, it's an absolute beast, but from a design perspective, it just looks like this wonderful ornament. It looks regal. It looks like the kind of ship that you would want to serve on, and if you were a civilian, you would want to attend, you'd want to visit. I mean, you'd want to go there for one of Picard's archaeological conferences. Who wouldn't want to go to those? I love that clamshell deflector dish. It's just so unique. We've never really seen that in Star Trek. It'd be lovely if they brought that back. If I was to nitpick, is just the nacelles. They're just a little bit too short, a little bit too fat. Just fat, short nacelles. That's it. That's my only problem. The D, it's a floating piece of art. It's beautiful. Mwah. Number 2, the Enterprise E, the Sovereign class. Whoa! A bit of an ideological backward step. No more families, no more conferences. Back to basics, we're off to fight the Borg. And the design truly reflected that. It got rid of a lot of wasted space, but like its predecessor, still maintained that beautiful aesthetics. There's not one straight edge on this ship, it's just curves everywhere. Yes, I love curves. Perfect marriage of the design concepts that we'd seen in TNG mixed in with what had come before it in the movies. A wonderful fluid design just flowing from the saucer to the end of the nacelles. Just a beautiful, wonderful, sleek, curvy design. It would look perfectly in place scanning space rocks near the neutral zone or on the bloodiest front line imaginable. And number 1, the Enterprise Refit/A. This improves on the original design in every single conceivable way. It addresses the straight, jutted out nacelle pylons from the original model and it pushes them back in this lovely dynamic, fluid moving way. I'm not describing this very well at all, am I? And I don't know why, but I'm a sucker for those rectangular, straight-edged nacelles. I have no idea why. They just look better. And maybe going back to what I was saying with the Rolf McQuarrie Planet of the Titans model, it's just a diversification of design, but a very welcome one. And that beautiful, glowing, navigational deflector dish. I love it. It's just, I know what I was saying about the original TOS model with the cool 60s era navigational dish, very, very cool, but this glowing brown turning to blue as it starts moving off, wow, I love it. I can't describe why I love it, I just love it. As with most of the ships on this list, I can't quite articulate the reason why. I'll leave that to the guys over at TrekYards, but I like what I like, and for me, this is the ultimate Enterprise, the quintessential Enterprise, the ultimate upgrade, and for me, a visual reminder of Trek's golden age. And there we go. How would you rank the Enterprises from the Star Trek universe? I'd love to know. Let me know in the comments below. And don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Star Trek and sci-fi videos like this coming real soon. Until the next one, stay happy, stay safe, and live long and prosper.